Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington, and I am joined by my longtime friend and colleague, none other than Alger Boswell III, newly appointed head football coach for Westside Leadership Academy. Hey, Coach.
Hey.
I have been chasing you down trying to get you on this stage, but you've been out on the field. How's it going?
It's been a busy summer. It's been a busy summer, but we're excited, getting ready to get this thing started this weekend, and thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. So I will just tell you right out the gate, Westside Leadership Academy proper is already all the buzz. But when you talk about new facilities, a whole new spirit, new uniforms, new coach, there's got to be another heightened level of excitement. What does it mean for you as a Westside alumni?
Well, I'm excited to be back, of course, being a 97 grad, but not just that, having grown up in the school, my father teaching here, my uncle, former principal here. I mean, I feel like just Westside has been a part of me my entire life. Then playing and going off to college and coming back, always around the program, volunteering and assisted back in 2014 when we had a great season. And then I was away from the program for a while. Mm-hmm. But to come back and, as you said, all the excitement around the program, it's a great time to be a Cougar.
Yes, Cougar Nation. So I will back it up. We talked about you being an alumni, but you have accomplished a lot in your professional career. So take us back to after you crossed the stage here and you moved on and did some great stuff.
Sure. So played here throughout high school and graduated in 1997.
Okay.
And went on to college. So I played college ball at Ball State, 4 years there, and came back home and attended law school at Valparaiso University. Graduated, got my law degree, and been practicing law for almost 10 years in and around the city. So really excited to do that. Love helping people, but coaching's always been in my blood. Always volunteered and assisted, and the last 3 years been involved with the Pop Warner program, helping build that up, and we were able to bring Gary Stiller's Pop Warner back to Gary. So we were very proud of that. And then when the opportunity came to take over as the head football coach, thought about it, talked it over, and it was really a shift in my professional career.
Sure.
But excited for the opportunity, excited for the challenge. Everyone goes through stages in their careers, and this was an opportunity for me to shift and put my focus into something that I love doing. So I'm excited about what we got going on.
I am too. Now I have to ask you, when you talk about a shift in your career, how, if ever, do you implement legal tactics into your coaching techniques?
That's a good question. I don't know if I do anything specifically, but I just know the way I approach preparing for a game, preparing for a practice, planning out our schedule. I'm very analytical, use a lot of data and information in helping develop our players. So I think all of that, I don't know if it's a specific legal strategy, but I just try to take a professional approach to it and really look at the coaching as a profession, not just a volunteer opportunity, but actually taking it as a profession and going about it in a professional way.
Now, do most of your students, the young people, do they know that you are an attorney? And if so, what's their reaction?
Yeah, I mean, most of them have known me before I was the head coach. I've been around the program even for the last couple years since we brought Gary Stiller's Pop Warner back to Westside. I always came to the games, stood on the sideline, helped cheer the kids on. So they know me outside of being the head coach. So they know I'm an attorney. They know I have practiced law. And so, but when I'm on the field, it's all business. It's all about coaching football.
Oh, I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the program itself. So do we have varsity and junior varsity? How is it broken down, and who gets to make what team?
Sure. So for the entire summer, we started June 1st with our summer conditioning program. We had about 50 kids that showed up every day, 3 days a week for the summer. A lot of those kids were freshmen and sophomores. So we really made a concerted effort to get our middle school kids that were transitioning, our 8th graders, here so that they can be a part of the program over the summer and get accustomed to what high school football is going to look like. Now our full roster with about 60 or 65 kids, and we will have a varsity and a JV schedule this year. The plan going forward is to have a freshman varsity and a JV schedule going forward. So we want to have all three levels of football. Right now we're sitting at about 15 to 20 freshmen who have come out. Of course, when school started last Tuesday, a lot of freshmen are still coming out, getting their physicals, getting their paperwork. But I think by the end of next week, we'll have maybe 20 to 25 to 30 freshmen. So going forward, we could have a full freshman schedule and have them play between 5 and 7 games every year. This year, we'll have a combined freshman JV squad who will play at least 6 games this year. And that's very important for the development of our program. A lot of times, freshmen are kind of left behind, and their freshmen and even maybe some of their sophomore year is a wash for them because all there is a varsity opportunity, and they're not necessarily developed enough to get out on the varsity field. Or if they do, they get beat up. So either you put a kid out there who's unprepared or he sits on the sideline. So we don't want to have that.
And that's not a win either way.
No, we don't want to have that. So going forward, starting next season, the plan is to have a freshman schedule where they play their own games, just freshmen against other freshmen. And then we'll have a JV team that's the sophomores and juniors and maybe some freshmen that are highly skilled can participate in JV. And then, of course, there's the varsity who plays on Friday and Saturday. So this year, our varsity schedule, we will dress out about 55 guys.
Wow.
We plan on having we have a travel schedule. So a freshman that's excelled, a sophomore that's excelled, will have the opportunity to travel and dress as a varsity. But if not, we'll have our travel team this Saturday. We're getting on the bus going to South Bend, and we have a list of about 50 kids that'll be traveling with us.
Al, I know that just must make your heart so happy to be able to pour into the lives of these young people. And I was listening so intently because there's a benefit for the community. There's an opportunity for them to watch the freshmen grow into maturity to be a part of the varsity team. And it's just a chance for parents and the community to get involved. And that's really what it's all about. We love the sports, but it's also about community partnerships and just being able to cheer the kids on and boost their morale. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this coming season. We're going to talk about that brand new turf that the team is going to take on next Friday. And we're going to learn more about Alger Boswell III. You're watching A Day in the District with your host, Chelsea Whittington. Stay right there because we'll be right back.
Don't tell anybody, but I'm a bookworm. I'm one of those very ambitious, highly motivated, overachievers you've heard about. When I enrolled in Gary Community Schools, I thought I'd be all alone. Sort of like an anomaly or a unicorn. Turns out, that wasn't true at all. There's lots of us here.
Gary Schools. Strong, resilient, built for education.
And welcome back to A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington, and I am chatting with my buddy, Alger Boswell III, head coach of Westside Leadership's Academy's football team. And I just was smiling as we chatted off camera about the high level of recognition in your role. I told you about the excitement around just everything going on in the Gary schools, but you have added a whole nother level. So what's it like going to the grocery store now?
Well, it's funny. I mean, people do recognize you out in the community. I mean, we've done a couple interviews with you, been on the radio and Facebook and in the papers. So people recognize, they've seen my picture. And I think that's just a reflection of the excitement that people have. The excitement, they want to see the kids do well. So You know, in the laundromat, when I'm out to eat, people recognize and they run up to me and say, "Hey, you're the new football coach." And I'm like, "Yeah." So the community's really gotten behind these kids, and it's good because they deserve it. I mean, we've got a lot of good things going on. The district has done a great job making sure that these kids have the resources, the facilities that they need to succeed. So one of the first things was the upgrades in the weight room. So we spent the last 3 months in the weight room, and you know, new equipment in there and a bigger space to help the kids. And as I said, we've had 50 to 60 kids every day over the summer.
Yeah.
So they need room
Yeah.
to work out. So the additions to the weight room have been great. And all summer long, the kids have just been looking out at the field as the trucks were rolling in, as the dirt was getting hauled off and the turf was being hauled in. So I think we're about a day or two away from that thing being completed. And brand new turf facility, brand new upgrades to the press box, new lights.
That Jumbotron,
The
though.
Jumbotron.
Ooh, it's the Jumbotron
The
for me.
Jumbotron. The Jumbotron is great, but I think the kids are going to appreciate that soft, fast track, that playing surface that's really going to help our kids excel and
So,
not
Coach,
have to worry about weather.
Yeah, with the turf. Explain that to me. Explain to me what we had and what
Yeah.
our previous teams were playing on and what they're going to be playing on, because I'm a novice. in that.
Sure. So what we had before was just a grass surface. I mean, just a grass football field. And with grass, you have to maintain it. I mean, weeds and things like that pop up, and the surface gets worn out as the season goes on. So a game in August, you're going to be playing on a different type of surface when you get to September, October, November. After the rain and the weather gets to it, the grass wears out, just like your yard.
Yeah.
So now, amazing artificial turf surface out there. So it's not only a surface that never wears out, but it's what we call a fast track, because the kids are going to be able to run faster because they have a more consistent surface to run on. So it's just like the new track that we have for track and field.
Yeah.
When you replace that surface and it's brand new and it's spongy and you can really sprint on it, it really helps the athletes. So all of this is a benefit to our kids. It's a safer surface when they fall, when they get tackled. It's going to be a lot safer and a lot more fun for our kids to play on.
Yeah.
And it's something that's going to be there for the next 10 years without having that. You have to do obvious
Constant
upkeep, but the
maintenance.
maintenance of cutting the grass and weeding the grass and things like that. So it's a big benefit, and it looks great.
Yes,
it
now
looks
that,
great. The big
it
giant
looks amazing.
cougar in the middle, the big orange West Side Cougars in the end zone. It just really adds a level of professionalism, and it really makes our program stand out in the community.
Indeed. And speaking of standing out, I was chatting with our manager, Dr. Paige McNulty, yesterday, and she attended the scrimmage out in Valpo. And she said people kept coming up to her like, "We can't wait to play on the turf, and we'll see you in Gary, and can you add us to the schedule?" What have you been hearing from other programs?
Yeah, I mean, people are excited. As I keep saying, one of my goals was just to make sure that our kids have every opportunity that they would have if they went to an outside school. Our motto has been stay in Gary, play in Gary.
Yes.
So, for years, there's just been kind of a brain drain where those who can think that they need to go outside the community for the educational opportunities, the athletic opportunities. And so now we're trying to reverse that trend and keep our kids at home, keep our kids in the community. And that takes some work on our part. We have to make sure that what we're doing is up to par. Coaching, our uniforms, our facilities. And now that we have all those things in place, we can go into these middle schools and say, hey, you don't have to go charter. You don't have to go to an outside school. You can stay right here, and all the opportunities will be available to you. So we're excited to have that, and I think people in the community are starting to see that.
Yes, they are, and that's what I was going to pile on, because I'm all in. Obviously, we're all Gary all the time anyway.
All the time.
But there has been the implementation of a parent booster group.
Oh, yeah.
They popped up on Facebook. They reached out to me and they said, this is what we want to do. And it's not just for the football team. It's just athletics.
School-wide.
So talk about that.
Sure. So that was another one of my goals, was to get a full-fledged booster club in place that's going to service all of the athletic clubs throughout the school. Our booster club is going to, or the booster club for us, is going to feed our kids 3 times a week.
Nice.
So today is Thursday. They're going to
Okay.
have a pregame meal. It's going to get delivered about 6 o'clock after we're done with practice. But then on game day, because there is a time, you know, if a kid plays a game at 7 o'clock, most of the time they haven't eaten since noon. So our parent booster club is going to feed them after school. And then when we go on a bus trip, like we're going to South Bend, we probably won't get home until 10 or 11 o'clock, maybe midnight. And this week, our booster club is going to provide a meal for our kids in South Bend. When they get on the bus, they're going to get fed again to eat, so that by the time they get home and get ready to get in bed, they'll already have eaten another meal. Because, you know, that's a
Yeah.
strain on mom and dad to have to
And they're
travel to the
growing
game.
young boys, growing into men. So
They burn a lot of calories.
I'm sure they clean out those refrigerators at home.
Yeah.
But that's just amazing because oftentimes, you know, during COVID, a lot of our facilities, all of our facilities were shut down. And so as we gradually open back up, the community continues to question, are there ways for them to get involved? And so here is another way. If a company, an individual wants to sponsor a meal, can they do that?
Absolutely. They can reach out to our athletic department, Coach Robert Lee or Hank Killander in the athletic department, and they can connect you with the people in the booster club and give you the information on how you can sponsor a meal for our kids this season. Or if you want to join the booster club and be a member, you can get involved that way as well.
I'm so excited. So game day, I'm going to start putting game day on my calendar
Yeah,
and
you got
backing
to.
it out and be like, dinner time, then game and crash. No, I'm just kidding. But I am so excited. You are watching A Day in the District where my guest is attorney, counselor, head football coach, Alger Boswell III. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Gary Way and how athletics fit into the picture as well as academics. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
It's gross. I don't really want to talk about it. She didn't want to at first, but I mean, it's no big deal. Everybody does it.
I was ready, totally ready, because we had been practicing this dance for weeks.
He was supposed to take this girl to this dance, but
I sprained my ankle at track practice.
I hate sharing anything personal. It's so disgusting. For the dance, I let her wear my shoes and she hated it, but I thought she looked great in them.
he could barely even walk.
I ended up taking some pills for my pain.
Yeah, they were my mom's, but
It didn't go well.
If it's not yours, if it's not yours,
if it's not yours,
Hey you,
don't take it.
don't take it.
Don't take it.
don't take it. You won't believe what happened next.
Hello, my name is Dr. Paige McNulty. I'm the manager for the Gary Community School Corporation, and I am pleased to be joined today with the Jackson 5 family members, Tito and Marlon Jackson.
Hi,
how are you? Thanks for being here today.
Not only are we members of the world-famous Jackson 5, but we are proud products of the Gary schools.
Growing up in Gary, our school system afforded great opportunities from academics to extracurricular activities.
And today is no different. This is why we encourage you to enroll your child in the Gary schools today.
For more information, please call 219-881-5466 or visit garyschools.org. And please remember, enroll in Gary Schools today.
Yes,
That's right.
definitely enroll.
Gary Schools.
Strong, resilient.
Built for education.
Welcome back to A Day in the District. I'm still your host, Chelsea Whittington. A Day in the District is a program designed specifically to help you, the viewer, stay connected to your Gary Community School Corporation. Today we have been chatting with Coach Alger Boswell III about all things Westside football. But before we talk a little bit more about you personally, I noticed you talked about on June 1st, you started the program. Everybody started to get conditioned. What's conditioning look like with Coach Boswell? If I join the team, what do I have to look forward to or fear?
Well, nothing to fear.
Okay.
We do take a unique approach to athletic conditioning. Our we base our training around sprinting. So I told our kids on day one, it's a little bit unique. We don't stretch and we don't condition.
Okay.
All right, we sprint. So we don't run, we sprint. So I time them. I feel like if you're not on the clock, you're not going to sprint. So every time they sprint, they're sprinting for time. And in the weight room, we lift heavy weights, but we also focus on flexibility, jumping, creating a more all-around elastic athlete who can react to the rigors of a football field and not be big and stiff. So our kids are definitely strong, but we're a really fast team, and we have some very quick players all across the offense and defense.
You hear that? Competition out there? They're elastic. They're fast. So what are some of your forecasts or outlooks for the season?
Sure. I think we're going to go out and compete every single week. Our goals of our program, number one, is to graduate from Westside High School. Number two is to win a conference championship. So we've got those games circled, our conference games, and I think we'll be competitive in all those games. And the third goal of our program is to represent yourself, your family, and Westside football in a first-class manner at all times. So as long as we go out and are working and striving towards those goals, it'll be a successful season.
I love it, regardless of the L's or the W's, which we want all W's.
That's
but
right.
You don't hear it, but I hear the attorney coming out of you. And I think that's such an amazing opportunity for the young people to be around that type of environment, because obviously, while we would love it, and we have several of our former graduates go off to the NFL, that's not going to happen for all of our kids. And so one of the things that we emphasize in the Gary Community School Corporation is that our students are student athletes, with student being first.
Absolutely.
And there are things that you and Coach Lee have implemented as far as monitoring and making sure that homework gets done, the GPA and things like that, so that they are able to get on the field. Talk about that.
Sure. So even starting June 1st, we had a lot of kids who were in academic peril. We implemented a 2-hour study table even before our summer conditioning, where they had to sit down in the computer lab and make sure their summer school classes or their online classes were complete before they had to participate. We had a few athletes that didn't take it seriously. Some of them are no longer with the team, and some of them we actually took them off the field for a couple weeks until they completed those summer school classes. So the number one goal of the program is to graduate our athletes. And we also say that eligibility isn't just enough. A lot of times kids think that they can do the bare minimum, just pass a class with a D, and it's going to be okay to play. And you will be eligible, but I mean, there are a lot of things that go into where you fall on the depth chart. And if a coach can't trust you to do what you need to do in the classroom, a lot of times the coach can't trust you to do what you're going to do on the field. How you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're not a serious student, to me, you're not a serious student athlete. So we spent a couple months kind of harping on that, and I think now our guys get it. And as school started last week, I've just heard from teachers and the security and the people in the building that our kids are taking this serious. We don't have kids who are hall walkers or, they sit in the front of the class, they're attentive. And it's going to be a gradual change, but I'm excited about where we're going. And our boys are picking up on it, and they know that if they don't take care of business in the classroom, they won't be participating on the field.
This guy right here, we have the right man for the job. I'm sure if you all are watching this, you too are probably getting excited about this season. So I have to talk about next Friday. It's our home opener, and we are going to officially dedicate the field, cut the ribbon. And so, not that I already know you'll be there, but you are cordially invited, as well as all of our viewers, to come and join us as we actually say, this is it, this is what our children deserve, and we want everybody to come out in their orange and blue. Before we get out of here, we got a couple of minutes left. I have to pay all respect to the great stock from whence you come. Your father, the late Al Boswell, was a teacher right here in the Gary Community School Corporation. I actually was under his tutelage, as fearful as I was of him. He was so amazing at what he did in acting and speaking and everything. And then, of course, your mother, the late Judge Diane Boswell. It's so obvious why you've turned out the way you are, but of course I just would ask that you comment on them and just their whole influence on your life?
Sure. I mean, my entire life. I mean, I owe everything to them. You know, being raised here in the school system, my dad, as you said, was a teacher, and not just his influence on me, but what also is stands out is how glowingly everyone speaks about him. So, you know, whenever I'm in the community, people know my mother, they know my father, and they always have high regards for them. So that goes a long way. And my mother, of course, just recently passed, but the same for her. Always had a smile on her face,
Yes.
always treated people with respect, and I try to do some of those same things. So just super blessed to have had them as my parents.
Yes, and now our students are super blessed to have you as their coach. So, my last question before we get out of here, what about scouts? Do you think scouts will come out from colleges to look at our young people?
Yeah, well, they've already been out, you know, all summer long. We had a college day, and I think we had about 7 to 10 Division I colleges here to look at our boys. We have a young man, Derek Mister, who's already committed to a Big Ten university, University of Minnesota. He's not only an outstanding football player, but he has about a 3.8 GPA,
Yes.
which made him recruitable from everywhere. From the Ivy League, he had offers from several Ivy League schools, several Big Ten schools. So he's just kind of what our program hangs its hat on, being a good person on the field and in the classroom and in the community. But we've got some good young players that I'm sure the scouts will be in to see very soon. Some sophomores and some juniors that are going to make their impact this season, and I'm sure there'll be scouts at every game to watch us.
Well, I can't wait. You have been watching A Day in the District, a program designed to help you, the viewers, stay connected to your Gary Community School Corporation. Special thanks to Coach Al Boswell III. We wish you a great season. Everybody come out and show your support. We'll see you next time.
WSTG TV.